Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to another Raiders Daily. My name is Rodney. If you already knew, thank you so much for coming back and watching another live stream. Whether you're watching live here on Bleach Report, whether you're watching after the fact on YouTube, I just want to thank you up top for spending your Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing this Thursday and Friday. We are officially, I can't believe I'm about to say this, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Anybody get that reference? From the NFL draft. Now, right up top, I need your guys' help. Can you comment in the chat right now or after the fact on YouTube? What does this sound like? Because I'm having a couple issues with my microphone right now, so I had to go to the backup earbuds. I think it's okay. I think it's listenable before I get a new mic here or fix the one that I have. But for right now, just let me know if you could see me okay and most importantly, hear me, because last week the audio cut out for a little bit, and I don't think that was a connection problem because I'm hardwired in here to the Ethernet cable. I think it's a microphone issue. So if anybody's watching live, I know there are people watching live, just let me know if you can hear me well enough. It's not going to be as good as it is with the microphone. It is listenable. Thank you. That's all I need. Okay. This is going to be a fun episode. We call them episodes, podcasts, live streams, because I have gathered, and I didn't really do this, Austin in my Discord. If you want to join my Discord, it's just ALLaBorde Raiders Discord. Search it. It's completely public and free. Has gathered for me every single person that has visited with the Raiders prospect-wise up until April 10th, 7:03 p.m. I have a whole list of people. So really quickly, because we're not going to talk about that right now, but just to tease it a little bit, I have the entire list of people right here, and I have thrown it into ChatGPT to gather intel on where every single person on this list is projected to go. It's got sources for everything. It's not exactly 100% accurate. You know, we got to take the AI stuff with a grain of salt, but for the most part, it has been able to find exactly where every single person is going to go. I'm not going to spoil it right now because we will get into that. But this is the list of every single person and the school they've gone to and the position they play. Every single person, thanks to Austin in my Discord, who has gathered this list of everyone that we have visited with thus far. So we're going to talk about that. There's new mock drafts. There's new reports that we might trade back. I want to discuss making a trade in this draft, but not maybe trading back also. But before we get into all that, and before we get into the Geno Smith presser, because I gave my take on YouTube, but I didn't give it on Bleacher Report yet. We'll do that really quickly because I know some people are probably watching my videos on YouTube and are going to double dip with that information. I just want to say this. Again, we're 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. That means we're getting into the smoke territory of the offseason. And what do I mean by that? There is smoke around, the Raiders drafting a corner at 6. Will they trade up? Are they interested in this player and that player? There's a lot of throw this information out there to put the scent this way when we're going to go that way, right? There was not a single person with viable intel that thought we were going to take Brock Bowers, or I shouldn't say that thought, that was predicting that. I thought maybe there was a chance that we could take him if he falls, but I didn't have any intel. I was just like, well, at some point we need a replacement for Devontae. Brock could be that guy, and that's the way it fell. I got lucky in terms of saying that, but I didn't have any viable intel. There was not a single mock draft that predicted Brock Bowers to the Raiders. There were no inside sources saying that. Now, this draft is a little different. It feels a little more chalk in terms of the top 7, 8, 9 picks. The only thing that could really throw a wrench in everything is a trade up or a trade back. Now, Rap Sheet talked about the idea of people trading up and said there's not a lot of people that are looking to trade up into the top 10. That doesn't mean there's people within the top 10 that won't trade up or back. All things that we need to talk about, right? Just there's going to be a lot of reports out there over the next 2 weeks, and their main purpose is to throw you off the scent of what is actually going to happen, right? Just keep that in mind when we read all this stuff. Take everything you see with a huge grain of salt. Himalayan, pink, whatever your flavor of the week is for salt. Geno Smith's press conference. Now, I said this on my YouTube channel. I'll say it here again. The only, what's the word I'm looking for? The only vibe I had off of Geno Smith, because I didn't watch any Seahawks games, I didn't watch Jets games, only when he played us, and that was it, was when he got drafted, he said, "We're making the playoffs." Classic immature thing to say when you're a young kid. And they wrote me off, but I didn't write back. So the only thing I knew about him is that he was confident, and when he was younger, he was a little arrogant. But aren't we all? That's okay. No flack on Geno or any other quarterback or position player who acted like that, right? But what I will say is I did not expect Geno Smith to handle himself so professionally in this press conference. Now, I thought he would say all the right things, but I didn't know exactly how locked in he would be, not only to the organization and to the pieces on this roster, but to every single reporter, because they didn't ask him, the hardest questions in the world. They didn't ask him the easiest questions. They asked him, like, how about your time in Seattle? What happened there? And then they asked him questions that had other questions built in. And he would say, well, to answer your first question, bang, 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 bang. To answer your second question, bang, 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 bang. It was the most professional press conference we've seen for a new quarterback in a long, long time. Now, the difference between a professional press conference from Derek Carr and a professional press conference from Geno Smith, I would say, without a doubt, the two best quarterbacks we've had since Rich Gannon or whatever, is that Derek Carr said all the right things and he was very nice and he was stable, right? Even though Pete Carroll's used that word a lot with Geno Smith. The difference is Geno Smith has this level of confidence that does not border on arrogance. It's, I know what we have to do. I know what I can do, but we need to work hard and make sure we execute to get that done. Where Derek Carr was just like, I'm a nice guy and I love my teammates. Geno's like, look, I love my teammates and I'll run through a wall for them, but I need them to do the same thing for me. And I appreciated how eloquent he was at explaining exactly what we need to do in order to get this train on the tracks. Because again, I didn't have any like vibe on what he was going if he was going like Antonio Pierce and start screaming Raiders. I had no clue. So I'm going to put this poll out here, and we're going to see what people think. I'm interested because there's also another level to the press conference. That level being, does it even matter? Like, does this even matter? Because when AP and Telesco had their intro press conference, did I put this poll out here? Yes, I did. When their press conference happened, it was awesome, right? AP was screaming, and there was people in the building, Patrick Graham and Max Crosby. I think, was Max there, or was he just there for the Pete Carroll one? Am I messing that up? And it was easy to get hyped up about that. But that was giving AP and Telesco the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, this was fun. You said all the right things. You're a Raider, blah, blah, blah. But now you've got to show me that you're capable of doing this. Now, that's the same thing with Pete Carroll and John Spytek and Geno Smith, right? They had the benefit of the doubt. This was fun, but now go show me. The only difference between Pete Carroll and Geno and Spytek and Telesco and AP and Gardner Minshew is that this regime actually has done it at the highest level, on the highest stage, with everybody in the world watching. We've seen Geno Smith, we've seen Pete Carroll actually do the things they said they were going to do and then executed on those things. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to come here and have the same success. But what it does mean is that whenever they say, I would run through a wall for Geno Smith, we're going to execute at the highest level. I'm going to learn Chip Kelly's offense because we have weapons like Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, but we also have Trey Tucker and Michael Mayer. I was pretty surprised to hear Geno Smith name drop them, even though those two weren't in the question. When they say these things, there's just a little different weight to it because at the very least, bare minimum, we've seen them do semblances of that in other places. Not only have we seen them do it in other places, but we've seen them do it together. And that is the main difference. So It's okay to get excited about this. It's okay to be like, I'll believe it when I see it. And it's okay to think both. I like the way that they handle themselves in front of the reporters with this new introductory press conference, but I'm also going to reserve the right to have an excitement that I'm going to bet $1 million on the over under, right? We have to wait and see. The only difference is this regime has done it before. Let's see if they can do it again. So, as you continue to vote in the poll, I was going to say vote in the poll, but I didn't say it. I stopped myself. I'm going to read a little bit of the chat here. Okay, so it's listenable. Everybody can hear me and see me. Good, perfect. He nailed his presser, professional, no doubt about it. I was really interested to see how he was going to be because I didn't know. I really didn't know. Like you know, Jimmy was going to be like hot shot. Like, yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I'm Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm that dude, even though you're not really that dude anymore. You knew Gardner Minshew was going to be like the guy that lives in a van down by the river, like the vibe guy, and we knew that. And we were like, okay, sure, you can be Kenny Stabler, I guess. I had no idea what Geno was going to be, and I thought he was going to come in and be like, yeah, watch this. I'm Geno Smith. Bang, bang, bang. And instead, he was like, nope, I'm locked in. Like, this is what we need to do. I appreciate the writers believing in me, and now we're gonna try to do it. Spy isn't trading up and giving up picks. I don't see it happening. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Playing for the Jets will give you a reality check. No doubt about it. Hey, sometimes playing for the Raiders will give you a reality check. That's a thing that's happened recently, right? The Raiders are kind of in the same boat as the Jets. The only difference is, I don't know, the mystique. Tom Brady now, Pete Carroll, that helps a lot. And I think people prefer Mark Davis to the Jets owner. I think that's pretty inarguable. Geno got checked in New York, but he learned from his time there and grew into a QB that he is today. No doubt about it. AP talked the talk, didn't walk the walk. Geno and Pete, if they were to talk the talk, they can because they won before, but they're all about business. They won't talk nonsense. They want to show it on the field. And you're talking too, man. No doubt about it. Hello. Little late, father. You can watch the playback on YouTube. Okay, so that's all I have to say about the Geno presser. I've said a lot more on my YouTube channel. You can go check that out. But I'm going to close this poll right now, and we're going to discuss every single person that visited the Las Vegas Raiders thus far. We're going to talk about what that means in terms of the positions, how many at each. We're going to read some articles, and we're going to have a little bit of fun here. So let me share my screen. So like I said before, hey, wait a second. TrueFerocity, I can see your comment. Remember, we've been having issues with that? I could see it now. So that's good. So keep commenting away. I can finally see it. Okay. So like I said, Austin in my Discord, he put this list together. This is every single person that has visited with the Raiders so far, prospect-wise. So we've got quarterbacks. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got Shedeur Sanders, Will Howard, Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, Cam Moore, Jalen Milroe, Tyler Shuck? How are we saying that? And Cam Miller. Interesting grouping there. I mean, and by the way, I've asked ChatGPT, if you missed the beginning, to compile around where these guys are going to go. Corners, we got 4 of them. Will Johnson, Benjamin Moore, Maxwell Harris, and Zay. I'm going to say Zay. Frazier. Offensive linemen, Charles Grant, William and Mary. That's an interesting one that I'll talk about. Will Campbell. Wouldn't be shocked if we took him. Caleb Rogers. The running backs, Ashton Genty and Caleb Johnson. I've seen a lot of people want to take Caleb Johnson later in the rounds in Iowa. Linebackers, 4. So we've got 4 corners and 4 linebackers, only 2 running backs. Now, this could change, right? We could end up having more people visit or talk to more people. And just because they visited or didn't visit doesn't mean that we're now drafting or not drafting these people, right? Carson Schwessinger, Josiah Stewart, Michigan, Teddy Buchanan out of Cal, and Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I said, don't be surprised if that's a player that we end up drafting at 6 overall, maybe trading back and take him. Defensive tackles, these got grouped together, sorry. Just Mason Graham, and wide receivers, Jalen Noel and Luther Burden. So no T-Mac and no Golden, which is interesting. Safeties, Malachi Starks and Nick Imanori, South Carolina. Okay, so I think we have to go down here because I needed to add. Yeah, okay. So again, take this with a grain of salt, but this is around where these players are projected to go. Obviously, some of these are going to be a little off with ChatGPT, but it's basically, I did my research along with this, and it's basically around where they're going to go. And then we're going to get into a little mock drafting here. We're going to talk about the interesting dynamics of where a lot of these people are projected to go. We're not going to spend too much time on everybody. Like, we know Shedeur Sanders is going to go first round. We know Cam Ward's going to go first overall. Jackson Dart, SB Nation's mock draft has him going 9th overall. I don't see a world in which we have Jackson Dart on the roster. I think he's going to go in the first round. I don't see him sliding by the Steelers. I think that's crazy. I don't think he's a first-round quarterback. Jalen Milroe, late first to early second. If there's a world where he falls to us in the second round, I think there's a chance that we do take him there. You've got Tyler Shuck. I think that's how we're going to say it. He's interesting too. I'll tell you what, if he's there in the 4th round and we didn't take a quarterback yet, I take him. He's the exact same measurables as Josh Allen. His Gruden quarterback camp, I don't know if you guys have seen that yet on Barstool. I really liked his personality and his vibe, and he knows his stuff. And then you got Will Howard, projected 3rd rounder. That's an interesting candidate too because of the Chip Kelly of it all. Now, we're not going to spend too much time on every single player here because there's a lot here. I just think it's interesting to see where they're going to go. Benjamin Moore, 1st round pick. Maxwell Hairston is interesting, 3rd to 4th round. He might go a little bit higher than that. I've seen Zay Frazier being a day 2, day 3 pick. Now, Charles Grant's interesting, an offensive lineman from William and Mary. I probably should look this up. Charles Grant, William and Mary. Let's see specifically what position he plays. Offensive tackle. Okay, so he's not a guard. He's an offensive tackle. The reason why I bring this guy up specifically is because John Spytek has been on the record saying when he was in Tampa Bay with Jason Light, their philosophy with linemen was take a tackle from a smaller school, William & Mary fits this perfectly, and play him at guard in the NFL. The reason being is that the tackles at these smaller D1 schools are usually the best athlete on the line, but they're not natural tackles. So they can get away with being a decent tackle at William & Mary, but they're going to get exposed at the tackle position in the NFL. But if you take them and move them to guard, now you've got a freak athlete who played a lot of tackle who's now playing guard. So keep an eye on this guy as a potential sneaky late round, take him and plug him in at guard kind of area. Okay. So let's go. Genty is obviously projected to be drafted by us. Caleb Johnson, Iowa, 4th to 5th round. I've seen maybe 3rd round with him. Linebackers, remember this name, Carson Schlesinger, 6th to 7th round. I think that's a little late. I think ChatGPT got that wrong a little bit. I think he might go day 2 or early day 3. Defensive tackles, we know Mason Graham could be going to us, and then Luther Burden is an interesting player as well. So I thought that was interesting to break all this stuff down. Now, what I want to talk about here is another corner that we are eyeing. But before that, let's go to Mel Kiper because he did a 2-round mock draft a couple days ago here. When was this? April 8th. This is on sportingnews.com. Let me get rid of this right here and make sure that we're still going and everything's moving. Okay. And by the way, if you have any takes on any of these guys, get it going in the chat. I'm sure that you guys are absolutely wired into what I'm saying here. And that's why we don't have the chat floor right now, but make sure we get that chat flowing so we could talk about some of these guys in detail. Okay. So it says, we've seen a ton of repeat picks in mock drafts for the Las Vegas Raiders this offseason, but leave it to ESPN's Mel Kiper to throw a curveball. Kiper released his 2-round mock draft on Tuesday morning and had the Las Vegas Raiders taking Boise State superstar Ashton Jeanty at 6th overall. I mean, that's not a surprise. Last in rushing yards, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we got that. We got it. Okay, the curveball from Kiper came in the 2nd round of the mock draft where Las Vegas selected UCLA linebacker Carson Schlesinger. And if we refer to this right here, we've met with him. So where is that? A prospect we have not seen mocked to the Raiders this offseason. Schlesinger came out of nowhere in 2024 with 115 tackles, 4 sacks, and 2 interceptions. So we need a cover linebacker, and that fits the bill. The Raiders have a big question mark at linebacker after Robert Spillane and Divine Diablo both signed elsewhere. Schlesinger could join new addition Landon Roberts and Devin White to rebuild the position. As Kiper noted, the Raiders lost both starting linebackers from last season, and 2 replacements they brought in are on 1-year deals. The team also had a 2024 5th-round pick, Tommy Eichenberg, but the jury's still out on him. Schlesinger, I hope I'm saying that right, is no doubt an intriguing prospect as he showed that he can do a little bit of everything in college, according to Pro Football Focus. The linebacker finished with a pass rush of 90%, a run defense grade of 74, and a coverage grade of 74. That's pretty interesting. Overall, Schlesinger projects as a modern-day three-down defender who should earn heavy snaps early in his career in multiple phases. He's outstanding. He has an outstanding trigger, and his football IQ showcases well on rundowns. He will drop in space on passing downs to boost the intermediate. I'm getting dry mouth. Intermediate areas of the passing defense. Long-term, Schlesinger has the traits to evolve into a captain within the middle of the NFL defense, whose hunger for the game and athletic profile paints the picture of one of the premier linebackers in the 2025 class. Ryan Fowler projects Schlesinger will be a day 2 pick that falls in line with Kuiper's thoughts on him. Fowler also adds that he believes the UCLA prospect will develop into a winning starter at the next level. Okay, so let's talk about that guy for a second, and maybe not Charles as a whole, but drafting a linebacker, which is, again, the reason why I think Jalen Walker is in play at 6. I do think that's a possibility. Look, is Mel Kiper the most accurate mock drafter of all time? No, but he's entertaining, and that's why he's employed. I get it. I understand it. I'm not a mock draft guy. I don't believe in my ability to predict that stuff, although maybe I should, because I was nailing the Brock Bowers thing a long time ago. I do think there's a world where one of our first 2 picks is a linebacker. Now, our defense is okay right now. It's a lot of belief that Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham can cook up another great defense in spite of not having true impact players outside of Wilkins and Crosby. And most of the time it's just Max. We'll see how Kuntz is able to develop. I just think that, we're so focused on running back, wide receiver, tackle. This defense needs impact players. Now, whether that is a Charles Schlesinger or a Jalen Walker, I just think it's interesting that this kid is now getting mocked late in the draft, or not late in the draft, late in the draft process, right? We're getting down to 2 weeks to go here. And also Jalen Walker is picking up a little bit of steam to go in the top 10-ish. I think it was our former GM, Todd McShay. No, what's this guy's name? Mike Mayock. Oh, my God. I said Todd McShay. Mike Mayock, who has a higher grade on Jalen Walker than he has Abdul Carter. Now, Mike Mayock was also responsible for taking Cleveland Furrow. So maybe we shouldn't trust him with his grades on defensive ends. Only time will tell. I can see us wanting to trade down if we can. If not, I can see us going O-line at 6 instead of Genty. Okay, well, let's talk about it then. Because here's another one. Depends on how Spy wants to play it. Get a stud O-lineman at 6 because the draft is rich with running backs, or get the stud running back early and at 6 and then try to get a lineman day 3. Again, I think lineman-wise, I think he's going to go, maybe it is just Charles Grant. Maybe Spytek is watching this secret. You're like, shut up, don't tell the strategy. Look, you said it on a podcast last year, okay? It is what it is. You put it out there. I think there's a world in which we go, tackle, left tackle or right tackle from a small school and plug him at guard. Okay. So where are we going here? What's the next thing we want to do? Okay, so we want to read this article about, and this is a Bleacher Report article, and this was today. Yeah, that was today. Today. Does anybody know that? All right. So let's go to right here. So this is a Bleacher Report article that was published today. Here's another report. I'm telling you, the reports are going to be flying here. This is from Dorich. I hope I'm saying that right. April 10th, 2025. Raiders reportedly eyeing Jahdae Barron if they trade down in the 2025 NFL Draft amid rumors. The Las Vegas Raiders have the opportunity to select a top prospect with the 6th pick overall, but the team reportedly has another option on the table. ESPN's Jordan Reed reported that while the Raiders and Boise State running back Ashton Genty are one of the most linked pairings in the draft, Las Vegas could look to the defensive side of the ball in a trade down scenario. I said the defensive side of the ball is a side of the ball that we need to be talking about because we need impact players on that side. Cornerback could be another position the Raiders target early, especially if they decide to trade down from number 6. Multiple league sources have mentioned Jahdae Barron from Texas as an option if the Raiders trade back. Earlier this week, the Raiders waived Jack Jones, who led the team with 3 interceptions last season. BR scouting department ranks Barron as a number 3 cornerback in this year's draft class, so he would provide Las Vegas with an immediate replacement for Jones and the team would also acquire more assets by trading down. Still, Genty was invited to Sin City earlier this week for a pre-draft visit, so the Raiders can make the safe choice by adding a potential future superstar to their backfield. The NFL draft is just 2 weeks away on April 24th, and Raiders fans will be holding out hope that their team makes the right decision with the first-round pick. So again, like I said, Jahdae Barron is interesting. Now, obviously, there's no world in which you take him at 6 overall. That would feel a little Clelin Ferrell-esque, like trade back to 10 or 12 or 15 and then take Jahdae Barron. And if he's not there, then you take a Matthew Golden or an Omarion Hampton. What do we got here? Barron is very versatile, and we could easily draft him high. No doubt about it. I just think 6 would be pretty rich for me. Now, trading down is something that we've talked about a lot. But I want to talk about trading up. Now, what's funny is I was going to talk about trading up, and I stumbled upon a mock draft that agrees with me. Now, I think there's two people that you absolutely should consider trading up for. And I think we're all in agreement that those two are Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Assuming that Cam Ward goes number 1 overall to the Titans, you have to consider Abdul Carter at 2 to the Browns, Travis Hunter at 2 to the Browns. One of those two, whichever one you like more, consider trading up for. Now, I see in the chat, we need a partner to trade with. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It takes 2 to tango. Here's why I think there is a slight possibility that they could trade up and that they could find a partner with the Browns or the Giants. Ask yourself this. Are the Browns or the Giants a player away from completely changing how they were last year? Now, you could say, yeah, they're a quarterback away. The problem is, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to come in day 1 and change the world for you. I don't think Shedeur goes 2 to the Browns. I don't think Shedeur goes 3 to the Giants. I really don't think he goes to the Giants. He might go to the Browns. I'd imagine Kirk Cousins is going to be on the Browns before the NFL draft, maybe the day of the NFL draft. So if they're not going to go quarterback, that means they still are multiple players away from flipping the script on how well they did last year, which means what? They can get back to 6, get a player that could have the same impact of an Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, less likely, but still, you're going from 2 to 6. It's not like you're going from 2 to 15. And then, because you go back to 6, if you're the Giants or the Browns, you've now got a 2nd-round pick this year probably and a 3rd-round pick next year, right? Maybe it's just a 2nd and like a 5th because you're not trading up if you're the Raiders to get a quarterback. You're trading up to get a defensive stud at 2 or 3. You ready to give up a 1 next year to get that pick? No, absolutely not. I would not give up a 1 next year. I think the only thing I would do is give up a 2nd this year and a 3rd next year. Now, in 2018, I believe, the Jets traded from 6 to 3 to get Sam Darnold. And they traded, they swapped first, and then they gave a 2nd and a 3rd and like a 2nd the year after. They did not give up 2 2s. They just gave up the 2 that they, or the 1, or sorry, 2 1s. The 1 that they had this year, and then it was like a 2nd and a 3rd. And we wouldn't be trading up to grab a quarterback. We'd be getting an impact player on defense, which is what we need. We need somebody that can come in and right away be a stud. So, if we take a look at this mock draft here from Rhett Lewis, one of the hosts of NFL Network, he's got Cam Ward 1. And he has a projected trade. And when was this? This was 2 days ago, April 8th. He has a projected trade with us and Cleveland. And it is projected trade with the Cleveland Browns. And we take Travis Hunter, cornerback / wideout. I've never made a mock draft trade before, but we've never seen a player like Hunter who registers as the draft's top prospect of both wide receiver and corner. It just so happens that those 2 positions are of 2 of the Raiders' biggest needs, so they aggressively move up to secure a 2-for-1 with this pick. Think about that. Travis Hunter really does fit the mold of exactly what we need. We need a corner and we need a wide receiver. So why not just inquire about trading up to get a Travis Hunter? If I told you that the price for getting Travis Hunter is, obviously, we swap firsts. Oops, where'd this go? Hello, can you see? Okay. We obviously swap first, and then we give our 2 this year and our 3 next year. Or we give our 2 this year and our 2 next year. Would you do that trade to grab Travis Hunter. I would heavily consider it because, again, like I've been saying this whole stream, this whole video, I don't think we have enough impact players on defense to replicate how decent our defense was the last 2 seasons. And Pete Carroll can bring the best out of Devin White and Landon Roberts and elevate guys like Polamalu, sure. But we need a corner and we need a wide receiver. So I think you really need to consider if Hunter's there at 2 and the Browns are like, are we really going to take a corner at 2? We need a lot more than just one star on our team because they have just Myles Garrett. We could trade back to 6. They can still draft a Mason Graham, or they could draft Ashton Genty or Jalen Walker. And then we take Travis Hunter. So would you trade Travis Hunter? Right now, everyone's saying no, stick at 6. Okay. I don't disagree, but I'm just saying we got to throw that out there. That point chart that they have out said that it would take 2 2s this year and next year's 2 or next year's 1. Okay. If it's just next year's 2, I would seriously consider moving up to get Travis Hunter. Just a thought. So look, this was fun. A tight 31 minutes. I will be here 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, same time tomorrow, and then I hand it off to Mo Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Whether you were watching here live, thank you so much for joining me. I hope it sounded okay. We're trying to fix the mic issues. I might just have to grab a new one because this one that I had is pretty old. It's going to be sad to retire it, but it is what it is. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hit that like button, comment away. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free after all, the charge to you. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.